welcome back to the wood shop today for another project.
My sister Jamie's turning 12 and she has a lot of things, but not a lot of places to store them. So today we're going to build her a trunk.
Alright, now the dimensions of this trunk is going to be 36 inches wide, 18 inches deep, and 18 inches tall.
We're going to start by cutting the pieces for our frame. We have some scrap wood right here. We've also got some new pieces that have never been cut on, but if you have some good quality scrap laying around, what better use than to put it in a project?
Okay, the frame of this trunk is going to be made up of 1.5 by 1.5 boards. I'll start by trimming this down 3/16 of an inch off of each side. That'll leave us 1/8 of an inch to knock out of the center, and we'll have 2 equal 1.5 inch boards.
So now we're going to measure and cut the lengths for the post that will make up our frame for the trunk. This right here was one of our pieces of scrap. It is going to be all of the 15-inch pieces for the sides of the trunk. Now the reason that we need 15-inch pieces, we want the total depth to be 18, but each rail is going to be encased by one of these posts. So when you add all that length together, it'll come out to 18 inches. So let's go ahead and get our measurements and we'll start cutting. So we've cut some pieces for the sides of the trunk. We've cut our 18-inch posts. And so what we have to do now is cut the pieces for the long portion of the trunk. They're going to be 33 inches long. And when we get done, they're also going to be meeting up with these posts. So we will end up with a trunk that's 36 inches long by 18 inches deep. now it's time to start constructing the frame for our trunk. We've got a couple of 33-inch pieces there, a couple of 15-inch rails, and then all of our 18-inch posts. We're going to be using some wood glue and some 16 gauge nails, right?
2.5 inch, 16 gauge.
You ready? I think right now it kind of looks like a table sitting upside down. We're going to have to be kind of careful when we're nailing this together to make sure that the nails don't run into each other. So that's going to be a trick.
Now that our frame is put together, we're going to go ahead and get started on our sides, floor, and the top of the lid for this trunk. It's going to be all made of 3/8 inch wide, 1/2 inch strips that we're going to saw out of this 2x10. First of all, we're going to cut some lengths of this to make it easier so we don't have to push the whole 2x10 through the table saw over and over again. Now this first section will be 18 inches long. That'll be the floor. Alright, like I said earlier, we're going to be making the sides, the top of the lid, and the floor for this trunk out of strips we're going to cut from 2x10s. Now, these strips are going to be 3/8 of an inch thick. So that means each time we pass this through the saw, we're going to have to move the fence a 1/2 inch. That gives you an extra 1/8 of an inch for the blade, and you're left with 3/8 over here on the left. Well, that was a lot of sawing, but now we have our floor planks ready to lay.
Let's grab some wood glue, a nail gun, and get to it.
This time we've switched to 18 gauge nails, a brad nailer, and these are 1.25 inches long. And we'll just put one on each side of each board.
Around the sides, I'm going to go ahead and give the floor a light sanding just to kind of knock down some of these saw marks, and it'll be a lot easier for me to tackle the sanding on the floor now while the sides are open. We have 120 on our orbital sander. Alright, now it's time to start cutting up our slats for the short sides of our trunk. Alright, it's time to start assembling the sides. Again, we have our 18-inch planks and some wood glue and, is it a brad nailer?
I'm using an 18 gauge brad nailer.
18 gauge brad nailer. Let's get to work.
Alright, now we have the short sides of our trunk assembled. It's time to get started on the long sides. Now, these planks are going to be 36 3/4 inches, and we will need 24 of them. I'll go ahead and measure them. We'll cut 2 sections of this out, and we'll rip them up on the table saw.
We're getting closer and closer to the finished product.
Now we're going to start on the long sides of the trunk. We're going to start laying our slats across. These are 36 3/4 inches. They will overlap the slats on the short side. Well, while we were putting this side together, we actually noticed that considering this span and these thinner boards, you got quite a bit of give. So we've decided that we're going to put a brace right across the center of this at 16 inches. So where we can tie all of these together right in the middle and add some support, because you know, you can move these quite a bit, so we don't want that. So we'll put one on each side and tie these in a little better.
We've come to realize this is going to be a 2-day project. It's getting pretty late, so we're going to put together our lid and call it a night. And the last couple of things we need to do are to sand it down and give it a nice finish. So we're going to go ahead and get to work. We're going to do a 120 grit just to smooth it up a little bit and get it ready for some stain. Oh, we also have to do hardware too. We're going to sand and finish the trunk, sand and finish the lid, and then we'll bring it all together with some nice hardware.
Well, it'll soon be time to finish our trunk, but before we get started with that, I've noticed these screws that mount these hinges on here are they're quite a bit too long for this. They would go through the other side. So I'm going to add some thickness and strength to the top of this by putting in some pieces of wood that I've cut here. That will give some extra support to the lid, you know, for the weight of the lid and to hold the screws and everything. So we'll go ahead and glue these on here. Clamp them down for just a little bit. It probably won't take very long since the screws are actually going to be holding a lot of this weight anyway. I don't know if that was enough glue or not. Don't look like it.
While we're waiting for the glue to dry on our hinge supports on the bottom of the trunk, we're going to go ahead and start staining the lid. We have just some regular wood finish. This is in the color Golden Oak. We've used this before on a mirror project, check that out. But we're going to go ahead and start applying this. When you use this sort of finish, you do have to let it sit for a little bit until you get the desired strength, the desired color that you want. So let's go ahead and get started. As you can see, this doesn't look real super shiny or wet. The wood really sucked that stain right down in there. We've got a few spots of pooling, so we're going to wipe this up, and then we'll go ahead and get started on the body of the trunk. Now, if you wanted this darker, you could definitely wait a couple of hours and put on an extra stain. We like this just like it is, so we're going to go with it. And this took about 10 minutes to get this color.
stains had a little time to dry, we're going to give this a little coat of spray lacquer just to give it a little shine. Well, now we have our trunk all stained and shined up with a little spray lacquer. Time for the hardware. We'll start with the hinges first. Now I've got a measurement 6 inches in from each side, so that's where we'll line these hinges up. Well, now our hinges are done. It's time for the second part of our hardware, and that is draw catches. We're going to put some draw catches on the front side so we can securely close the lid. I've got these marked at 8 inches from each side. So we'll go ahead and start these. Now, I believe I'll start with the bottom. Last time I did the top piece first. I'm going to try doing the bottom piece first this time. Now for the top half of the draw catch, we'll go down as far as it will go and then up just a little bit to give you some pressure on the lid when you draw it together. Get it in the right spot. About there. Well, there you have it. Our storage trunk is finally finished.
We're really excited to take this to Jamie. We hope she loves it. We hope she gets a lifetime of use out of it. Before we take it to her, though, we are going to do a little something to make it just a bit safer. We didn't do on the video, but we want to show you what we're going to be working on. As you can see, this lid, as installed, will go all the way back. And that's a lot of weight to put on this back panel. We don't want it to really swing that far. So we're going to put in some kind of a catch to limit how far this lid will open, just to make it a little bit safer. This is definitely the largest project we've done so far. We could have went the easy way. We could have done some panels of some plywood or something, but we had some spare 2x10s laying around, and you got real creative.
Yeah, that was my crazy idea, to chop up these 2x10s into these 1.5 wide boards.
Gives me an appreciation of how expensive hardwood floor is.
Yeah, it definitely would have been easier to use wider boards, that's for sure.
Now, if you want to get a little more creative, feel free. Use different wood, use different stain, paint it, distress it, whatever your taste is. Something like this, it's just a blank canvas. So have fun with it. We're so happy that you joined us today and went on this adventure with us as we built this trunk. We hope you join us again next time right here on Wood Songs by Russell. Don't miss a video. Be sure to like and subscribe. Thanks again. Happy woodworking.